Actually, inspired, I would format it differently, is what got me into this, I would say. So basically, I come from a textile family, as you are aware of. We had textile mills, and the 80s, everybody knows, was a downward trend in the textile industry. The Bombay strike, fallout of it affected all mills. That's when, in the end of the 80s, when I joined my father. But of course, I spent 3 years on the shop floor. Yeah, totally, because we didn't know anything and we were trying off our own. Actually, we succeeded. Then we said, put aside everything, look at one product at a time and try to find out who is already making it and become his converter.
What are the challenges you feel in spite of being Make in India, you're trying to replace exports? The government has the Make in India scheme. So what are the challenges or the aspects that you feel that the government should be taking or is lacking or hindsight they're missing certain part of it which can actually truly accelerate this, so people can leverage, the MSMEs can leverage this?
My personal feeling, and I'm very candid about it, though might not be liked by the ministry or the government, is that the ministry and the government itself has not got enough knowledge. We learned a lot and we resolved a lot. In fact, my customers know rubber, I know textile. So they would always be looking from their rubber point of view. Then when I go and see in their factory what they're doing out of my then from my textile side, I'm able to put in 2 words of contribution. You from your rubber side are able to put it, and we have solved so many problems like that.
Hi Tushar sir, welcome to the Next Wave podcast. I'm super excited to have you here. How are you feeling?
All good, thanks for having me over. I'm very happy to see you have come into this segment of work from what we've known you for.
Perfect, sir. So the whole idea behind the podcast is to inspire other MSMEs and also to help them scale and share this content and to bring in this wave of the Make in India concept. Right, so I'm sure the way you have evolved Sanrhea, being a first generation entrepreneur, there will be tons of learnings that you have, and maybe some of those could rub with the listeners out there. So that's what we're expecting from this podcast.
Good.
Sir, so starting with with you being a first generation entrepreneur. So what inspired you? Because what I understand is you started your journey way back in 1997.
Yes.
So that was a very different time when India was there. A very different time when Make India was not coined. So what inspired you in 1997 to start a factory?
Actually, inspired, I would format it differently, is what got me into this, I would say. So basically, I come from a textile family, as you are aware of. We had textile mills, and the 80s, everybody knows, was a downward trend in the textile industry with the Bombay strike. Fallout of it affected all mills all over India. That's when, in the end of the 80s, when I joined my father's work. But of course, I spent 3 years on the shop floor, from beginning to end, and really trained myself, and in fact got passionate about it also. I think textiles is one of the most fascinating industries because it covers everything. It's chemistry, science, maths, business, all the aspects of it and all that. So I was very, very much technically involved in this thing, and it was at a time where the industry was on downtrend. We had started losing in the company, and so I was always looking for something that could save the mills that time. Let's do something that is higher value or more remunerative and all that. And that's when we were a spin mill predominantly by that time. We discovered that there's a very high value yarn that goes, cotton yarn that goes into the making of tires.
Okay.
Or the tire cord fabric. So we started making that. We made the required changes on the machines and got the right blends of raw materials and played around and got into that. That's basically what brought me into even the thought process of technical textiles. That terminology also probably wasn't there. Right. And then it was later, since I was into it and we learned the names of the Centurion Cullen and Nirlon and all the big names and all that. So that's when I got to see one of the plants, which was more on the nylon base.
Okay.
They used to make tire cord also, but when I went there, I figured out that they have a whole range of products made out of nylon, which are textiles, but the arena was totally different. And that really, got me excited that, here there's some field where the core knowledge is your technical knowledge of textile, core textile knowledge, but the mindset is different, the product is different. And that drove me into getting into this. And in fact, it was immediately after that, I just got a person to help me, who was part of that industry to guide me, give me more knowledge on it, and we decided to go ahead with it.
And so during those times, were you married, you were unmarried, or when you set up the factory? So what was that?
I was married.
So how did you position that message to your wife, example, in terms, what is that moment about, so
actually not much of it was discussed.
Okay.
In fact, not even with my father, who was that time when the mills were running and all that.
Okay.
I just thought of it and I actually was so excited. Precisely, I went to this plant in the Diwali break when the family was going for a holiday. I went and spent 3 days in this plant and spent time just educating myself or enlightening myself. I mean, 80% of us people don't know. Sanrhea is basically catering into the technical textile industry, but which is a very large arena. So the segment is the rubber industry.
Okay.
Which can cover automobile components, tires, various rubber components like conveyor belts, marine products and all that. So when I went to this factory, I was just awakened to the reality that so much of fabric is used in the rubber industry because rubber has no strength. And any component that requires strength and is made out of rubber has to have something to bond it. So I'm sure you also know that 30% of a tire is rubber. I mean, fabric. So all these things were, awakenings for me, and that's what got me further one after the other. So when we started also, I was so new to it that there was not much to explain to my dad or to the family, because I was also learning as we were getting in.
I think interesting. So what was so now you have found something that excites you. You're just driven and you're just the learning wave is there. And learning is there, the excitement is there, but building a factory is a lot of pain. Maybe in a good way, maybe you have to endure the pain. So what are the hurdles that hit you right after you started, the factory?
We started in a very small way.
Okay.
With no business acumen in the field, no knowledge of the products. We were told, we identified 3 products.
Okay.
There's one product that goes into tire, one conveyor belt because that was a very large industry also, and the easiest of the product range.
Okay.
And one other cotton based because we knew cotton better than nylons.
Okay.
And we identified these 3 things and said that I bought this 6 machines initially and the balancing plant to go with those 6 machines and all that. And I said we'll put 2 machines on this, 2 machines on this, 2 machines on this, and then we miserably failed on everything. Because, like you said, what was the challenge? The challenge was our mindset was not into technical textiles. We were always thinking like apparel textile guys. When you see a slub on a fabric, it's a bad fabric. In that, it didn't really matter. It was whether it had the right breaking strength, whether it had the right elongation. So our whole perception was wrong, and that's what we didn't realize till we got deeper into it. And the other challenge, if I had to say, was also the same lack of knowledge was across the board, including the ministry.
Okay.
Including the ministry, they knew nothing about or the industry. 2-3 players. Other than that, nobody knew much about this. So when you come up with an endeavor like this, you are so hopeful that you will get support from banks, institutions, and all that. It coincidentally happened to be a time when the industry, which was branded as one. Textile. Textile was on the down. And textile was, the sunset. So banks didn't even look at you. So I remember this very few years after, we kept working and we kept doing things and gradually it got somewhere. Till then, we had a current account. Whenever I needed extra money, I would go running to some friend who'd support me, and then we'd pay back and things like that. That's how we managed for years. Finally, but our current account was with a bank, a nationalized bank, and the manager used to see that our account is very good and we're good people. So he drove the Bombay manager when he'd come here. You must go and see this factory. So this guy comes to our factory and he sees everything. I said, but you're not textile. So I said, that's what I keep saying. We are not textile. We are more of an engineering industry. This man was the guy who first opened the doors to me and accepted me in a small way, a little bit of facilities and all that, and that went a long way with us. So that's the difficulties, if you're saying, that's what we faced in the issue.
Wow. So I was like, curiously, there were 3 redundancies and all of them failed. So that was
totally, because we didn't know anything, and we were trying off our own. Actually, we succeeded. Then we said, put aside everything, look at one product at a time, and try to find out who is already making it and become his converter. So coincidentally, that time JK had a unit in Jhalawar, which used to, rather than sell they were predominant tire cord manufacturers. So rather than sell the remnants at small lots at a discounted price, which was a throwaway price at that time, they came up with an Ramapati Singhani, a very, very forward-thinking person. I respect him a lot, learned from him a lot, from his doings a lot. Not that I know him, but he started using his bottoms and remnants of yarn by sending teams out and saying, go convert somewhere. And we happened to be a team at that time which was looking for work. So they started converting in our factory, and that also taught us. So, we started learning, these are the critical aspects. This is how much you should maintain these parameters. And we started making conveyor belting fabric for them on conversion basis. And then we kept following them. Coincidentally, at one stage they shut down, and then a very large segment of the team also joined me, and that helped me also further. But again, a very interesting thing was that how I followed them was they were converting at my place, and we used to make fabric, which is just woven. Then in our process, the core segment of my industry or my company is where we rubberize, the first stage rubberizing with latex, this fabric, so that becomes a bondable product with natural rubber, and then you vulcanize it with a component to make the end component. So the JK team used to weave at our place, then go to nylon, because that process, as you call it, the dipping line, was in nylon. They used to dip that and then go to Punjab and make those conveyor belts and sell them in Punjab. So I started following them. I started making my own little fabric. Out of the conversion money, I used to buy yarn from nylon, the second grade yarn. Convert the same thing that these guys used to make, run after them to nylon, do the rubberizing, first stage rubberizing, go to Punjab and sell it. That's how I got into the line, This was aping them. But of course, we learned through them.
I think interesting. And for all of us to understand, converting when JK was looking for it, so this is a kind of a job work that they've outsourced, and then you wanted to, did that job work, and then you just gave the white labeling of JK, and then
no
white labeling here.
When unka hi jata tha, it was their product that was being sold, and another. I aped them when I started selling in my own name.
And so you spoke about being passionate and getting into an arena, experimenting with 3 areas and then failing, and then being lucky or getting a converting job and getting into it. But obviously, as you also a little bit mentioned about the team, so a team goes a very long way for an area that you're trying to get into, right? So what has been that part of story that you have with the team in the initial years? So what could you share something?
So see, originally my team was the fallout of the team from the Man the Mills, my father's company, which was having the basics of textiles. But the outlook, like I had, the wrong one, not for the technical textiles. So selectively, we got people from them who were willing to put in the hours, had the core knowledge, but were willing also to adapt to this. When JK shut down and we got a team from there, 5 people joined me from them, and who my ED today is. He's the guy who was overnight redundant. When JK shut down. He joined me and he worked with me and his experience from not only working in this product field helped us, but also his experience of changing the mindset to the mindset that he had seen there. What Ramapati Singhania had set up there. They were running on Kaizen, they were running on hands-on, where everybody is capable of doing everything. So you are not just the production guy. Tomorrow I'll send you also to go to the market and sell this product that you're making. So, we gradually, because of him and me working and 5 other people of him, who were already in that style of working, getting involved, we spread this gradually into the system and we converted our people. We got rid of the people who weren't, changeable, and gradually got new people who fitted into the system. And we evolved a whole spirit which was attuned to this segment of textiles. The outlook was like that, the spirit was like that, willing to be able to take failures, because we were having failures like, every new product that we worked on was failing. Then we worked hard and not gave up. That spirit was very important. And this man was very critical. This man and his team who joined us, they spread that spirit that, hit yourself against the wall, fall down again, get up and try to win again.
So I think that's a very interesting combination of the team that's willing to learn a part of it, and then the technical coming from another team, and this amalgamation, then spreading it out and framing it. However, in spite of all this, so there would have been certain crises in the factory during this journey of because it started off converting and now it's slowly starting to scale, starting to getting bigger. Sanrhea is trying to get bigger. So can you share some stories of crisis in the factory, wherein and how you resolved it maybe, and some learnings that you could have had from those?
Frankly, crisis, touch wood, not faced with a crisis which can be termed as crisis. Otherwise, crisis was every day. Okay. And how we handled it, how we looked at it, how big or small we made it out to be. Because we were going through the learning cycle. So every day we failed. Every day was, could be termed as a crisis. But the spirit, because of this whole group, how we evolved into it, how everybody participated in it, we, frankly speaking, I touch wood also that I have not had an experience in the last 20 years which I can term as a crisis. If you say a continuous crisis in the initial 15 of these 25 years, is that we were always running short of money because we never had working capital, banks never funded us. And it's a good side of it also that we grew a little slower, but we grew very solid. We parked all our money back into the company and we became a very solid company. Then today we are really a secure entity by itself. Still no debt today.
Amazing. And how has been the scaling up then? So you said that there has been a slow, gradual scaling up. Okay. So what has that been in context for Sanrhea's journey?
It's good and bad. The bad is if I see the opportunity cost, I could have been a very large company by now. The good is I'm a solid company today, no debt, and all my products, because of this constraint also that I had, nobody gave me money, so I had to play with the little money I had. So I figured out that if I'm not a large company, a typical that scale company, today we now targeting 100 crores, but then we were petty small players, partially also running on conversion, and a little bit of activity was mine that was contributing to my turnover. So what we did and took, or rather I took the mindset that at these scales, with less support from big institutions and banks, the best thing is to become a very niche product manufacturer. So, and I was always getting now interaction with more and more customers, more segments. We used to visit fairs, see product, then do some research. My ED, Mr. Hada, he was also part of the industry, so he had a general awareness. We met people in the industry and from whom we got on. We started picking up products that were very difficult. Those products which nobody wanted to make.
Okay.
Those products where the fear of failure was the detrimental side of it. And literally, there have been certain fabrics that we made for the automobile industry which I failed for 3 years.
Okay.
After which that product was established. And then you'd say, now where am I going to get this? And trust me, one of these products where I used to go every year to South India, 6 to 8 times a year, fail and come back. And me and my general manager would be discussing now what next, reattempt. Today, I'm the only guy in India making that product because it's so difficult, nobody wants to enter. But then we clicked a deal, that means, we did the impossible. And when I worked with you for 3 years, developing this product for you, you're mine by that time. Because you also know I don't want to do this 3 years exercise with the next person again and then risk something that might go wrong. And also, over that period, the confidence builds up to that extent also that, he's not here to cheat me. He's also equally interested in building up a growth. And so today, like that one product category, we are the sole guys in India making that for the automobile industry. And where I never would have thought, but I'm making close to 1 lakh meters a month of that one product. And there's no competition right now. Why? Because the detrimental, today also I'll be having 5 tons of that fabric put aside as failed within my inspection report pre-delivery. So people don't want to do that. And so we made it a policy. Pick one after the other, more and more difficult products. So today, out of my current 150 tons, which we are trying to scale up to 200 tons with this last expansion, 40 tons is specialized fabric.
Wow.
So 30 to 40 tons is specialized fabric. And that's all very difficult. Nobody wants to venture into it.
And that is in context to the R&D or the time spent to develop it and then the money invested.
The time spent to develop it, the spirit to keep going and facing failure while you're developing it. See, normally people say factory dalo, if the time will start checking out. Yes. There's no certainty in this. There are a lot of products that we've made attempts at which have failed. We put them aside. People don't like that. Most people, that's human nature. But then I thought that's the best instrument for my survival and growth and maintaining that business segment which I have developed. Today, all my customers are that's why with me on all these niche product categories. We have developed one fabric which had a global patent. 130 something countries. And we developed it and we figured out that there's a patent. But the spirit was so high in the team that we kept marginally working on it. 5 years later, we made this product again with a total different route, total different raw material composition, and we are now very small scale, but now we've got 4 customers already and we are pushing it ahead. It took us 5 years to do this. But again, like I said, we are the only alternative now of that product in the whole world to this one guy who has a patent. And my route is different, so I'm not conflicting.
So I've got a couple of questions here. So one perspective you spoke about was building a solid company, debt-free, versus a scaled or a big company. So in India, most 80% of the business or MSMEs are all family businesses. So do you see or you think all are taking this route, maybe for the stock exchange blew up, maybe the route of building a solid debt-free family business company versus a scaled-up company like the MNCs? Or is this a family business mindset, or is it, what do you feel on that? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think the vast majority thinks otherwise. It's the top line that matters a lot to people. It's using those top lines that people like to draw a lot of money and grow faster. And a top line actually ranks you, he's 1,000 crore industrialist, he's 2,000 crore industrialist. I prefer to be a happy industrialist who's earning good money and going to sleep every night with no burdens. And I found this way that be niche. So you don't have the competition. Once you don't have the competition, you have a very secure business. You have an activity. And to add to that, initially we weren't even earning, but we were thriving on the dividends of success. Like, oh, we've achieved this fabric now. And we've got broken into this company now. And it's today a lot later that I'm seeing the dividends by way of the volumes. Because you kept doing it right. You kept doing it right for one customer. That confidence builds with another large company, which is also so critical in their needs. And that builds up. And that's how, today we are in a much solider state because now it's spread. That Sanrhea can make this product. Sanrhea can make dimensionally very stabilized fabrics, which can be used in any format for marine industry, automobile industry, infrastructure industry.
Okay. And you also spoke about how you work with the customer for over 3 years with one customer, and it reached a stage wherein you knew that the customer is not gonna choose another one. So how did you get into a phase where you are you found out that this customer wants this kind of a product in the first place, and then you started working on it, because that's a very rare situation to work with a customer for so long. So how did that happen?
No, basically identifying that was this constant search, like I said, meeting people, interacting, visiting fairs, and then doing a lot of study out your own, okay, in this fabric should be there. Because once we got the hang of it, fabric is the core of so many. So we started looking at various automobile products and all that, and then we figured out companies, and then we figured out, that, it may be fabric like that. So then we would try to reach out to the companies, and luckily in that initial stage, say the 90s into the 2000s, all companies were looking for a local partner who would develop something good for them. And actually they were giving me all the support. They were not confident whether this company is going to do it or not. But if they happen, then they were going to have a win-win situation. So that he's doing all the headaches, he's willing to take all the burden. Let me feed him, let me teach him, let me help him, come and fail also. But if his spirit is strong enough, one day I will get a product locally made and designed to my. This again being a very, very dominated industry by the tire cord fabric. This is the core product. Like if I'm making 100 tons, this is still 1% of what the whole rubber industry draws of fabric. And that is predominantly tire cord. So historically what had happened was a secondary tire cord fabric was adapted. There was a range of say 5, 8, 10 different grades of tire cord fabric. They were reverse adapted because those the tire companies wouldn't use. So the guys who were making tire cord fabric had to dispose them off somewhere. So a lot of rubber components were made out of second grade or rejected tire cord fabric, which could be applied here. So a rubber product then was reverse engineered based on the availability of a particular fabric. What we came and did as textile guys, and with the drive that we want to be in this industry, we said reverse engineered and said that what do you want? I'll design a fabric that way. Because my job is to design a fabric. And that's where we gained a lot of support from our customers. Okay, yeah, this guy is going to make what we want. You buying a breaking strength of 200 kilos, where you don't need that 200 kilos, you are fine with 100 kilos. But why are you using that? Because that's the fabric available since last 50 years. So I said, okay, let me design. And you said, if you're designing, there are no stakes of yours.
So I think having conversation with this customer gave you the mindset that the need for it, and they didn't have options.
Yeah.
So they were just using the default ones.
And that's why they were giving us support. And we were spirited enough to go in that fashion. Because like I said, I had to be niche, I had to be customer oriented if I wanted to survive in this field where I'm such a small player.
So niche, custom, and perseverance.
And perseverance, yes.
So one of the things that I also wanted your perspective was that so globally, the technical textile is around a $220 billion market as per Invest India, and then this would be this market by 2025. India would be around a $30 billion market in technical textiles. So and again we are importing certain parts of it. There is export demand, there is local demand, all these things reshaping within India. So what is your thoughts around the future trends? So what do you feel in that aspects? What do you feel India's technical textiles serving the world or Make in India would happen?
Both. Serving the world will take a little longer time. Make in India is happening faster. There is so much scope in India that when, the typical question that used to be asked always when you're in industry, how much are you exporting? This is an exciting question.
Yeah.
And if you're exporting more, you always give this very spirited answer. I used to always say that not at all, I'm replacing, imports because Indian requirement of technical textiles is so large with the infrastructure growth, the general industry growth, our defense requirements. There is so much of fabric requirement, so many segments of our day-to-day life. Defense itself is a very large one. Apart from, common man thinks the military jacket is one of them. We're making fabric for floats and boats. All these fighting boats or the pontoon bridges that you see in defense. Those are all replaceables. There's a shelf life. Because they're not always used, only when the emergency comes. So there's a cycle in which every year defense buys X many boats, every year X many floats are purchased. There are so many other such applications of water reservoirs and all that. So that's one whole segment. That the automobile industry is growing. So many of the companies are coming here, and there's always this indigenization drive. Whatever you can get from India, and luckily various foreign component companies have also come into India and started making. So there's so much of scope for fabric within India itself that I see a very, very bullish market. Now I'm talking of just my limited knowledge of the rubber industry. Now you mentioned technical textiles. So technical textiles is so much bigger an arena. There are non-wovens, there are spun bond fabrics, and there are different segments that it covers. So I see a terrific growth in India itself. Forget the world. World, yes, is also a very big market. Unfortunately, another major supplier all over the world is China.
Okay.
In most volume games. And normally exports are done of larger volume segment products. China has been sitting there on every volume game. So even today, conveyor belting is a beautiful industry and has tremendous growth prospects in India. Today we are not able to export conveyor belts, fabric in India, from India because China is sitting there dumping all over the world at much lower cost. There are times where you question how they are able to do it. There are times where people say there were promotions given by the government also. So internationally, ultimately we will grow as the confidence level of India builds up and the confidence on China goes down.
Okay. And so you spoke about the market being bullish in India or the domestic consumption being huge, and even the export potential of it. So what are the challenges you feel in spite of being Make in India? You're trying to replace exports. The government has the Make in India scheme. So what are the challenges or the aspects that you feel that the government should be taking or is lacking or hindsight they're missing certain part of it which can actually truly accelerate this, so people can leverage, the MSMEs can leverage this?
My personal feeling, and I'm very candid about it, though might not be liked by the ministry or the government, is that the ministry and the government itself has not got enough knowledge on this industry. And when I'm talking, say, restricted to my exposure to the industry, but there are a lot of anomalies and mismatches. You on one side are saying medium and small enterprise, and yes, a very large segment of these products can be developed in the medium and small. There's enough enterprise, there's enough spirit, there's enough knowledge or drive, that can build that knowledge. But still, we are not able to do this because certain policies are contradictory. We are today, let me just tell you, in my segment and one product only, conveyor belting fabric. You can just imagine how much conveyor belting can be required in India, considering the mining required for the industry. There is power, steel, cement, all that. The conveyor belting required for the construction industry, road building. So, tremendous consumption. Today, in spite of certain major players and also us being there, I'm not expanding. I'm reducing my manufacturing of conveyor belting. Why? Because they've kept an open import of conveyor belt fabric with no controls on quality, while they put Bureau of Indian Standards restrictions on the import of the raw material that is used to make this, the grade of yarn particularly required for making conveyor belts, and nipped the inwards of raw material and kept a total unrestricted import. So today, effectively, 1,000 tons a month of fabric ready to make conveyor belts. The end product is coming at times lower than the price at which I can get my raw material in India. Even from imports or even local manufacturers, they've jacked up their rates because right now imports have been banned. So they jacked up. So it's totally taken the industry into non-viability. Now you just imagine you're losing 1,000 tons of fabric that maybe you and I could be making. And we just not doing it because, no businessman will make something to lose. And for this, I've been repeatedly appealing and making correspondences. People, the textile commissioner gave a very positive support, but then nothing is happening. She understands and she sees this anomaly, but nothing has happened. So these are the type of things that, I feel are restricting us. Otherwise, there's a tremendous growth potential. There's a tremendous, and this can further go up, because India is growing.
And so the corrective step proposed would be banning the imports or quantifying a percentage or a restricted volume, or are these finished
Some
products?
formula will have to be worked out. See, you can't outright ban imports. But how do you identify this then? Something has to be done, because you're killing not only this. You're going Hango or medium and small enterprises have to be promoted. You're going Hango, industrial textiles. Both these flags that you are trying to fly high are, you're not serving the purpose with the policy like this.
So now coming to another part of the conversation that I wanted to have is so you've been with the business for almost 27 years, right? And now what I understand is the second generation is also part of the business. So what is your expectation from the second generation, and how is the whole vibe going on with the second generation entering the business?
So, see, in particular, my business is a very technical business. I have only two daughters. The one of them, who was more in the digital marketing arena, has now started joining me. So, with that generation coming in, first of all, being a girl whose passion is always less into technicals, vis-a-vis a boy. Of course, it's very wrong and general terminology for me to put it that way, but at least in my daughters, it was less. But she's now drawn into it. She's getting trained right now. But for her, it's very, very critical for me to see to it that she becomes very technically sound, at least in the segment that we are covered in. The general core knowledge of textiles and the segment that we are seeing, the homogenization or the confluence between textile and polymers, textile and rubber and things like that. She has to have core knowledge, especially because we are in a specialized segment and we are a medium scale industry who can be eaten up very fast. If she has this core strength, technical strength, she will always be able to command and take this ahead. Absence of which no officer of yours, no employee of yours will have the same drive to take it ahead. So that's one very, very important thing my daughter has to, take up when she gets hands-on. She has to be hands-on, basically.
And so you spoke about not just second generation, but a woman entrepreneur, right? So how is the India again being a very male-dominated society? So how is the senior management looking at it? How is the other reactions that you're getting in from the other company? What is the vibe that you're getting? Because a woman in the factory as a leader is again, subconsciously the trend is changing, as you rightly said. But what is the feel around it? What are you getting it, or what advice do you have?
Well, basically, I did see, typical Indian mentality. I did first see a resistance, but as she got involved and as she started, becoming more familiar with them, she started getting better responses. Right now, she is not complaining the way when she just worked. Earlier, she would have like, nobody tells me this, nobody is doing this for me, things like that, which has changed. She's got more friendly with them, and she had to also put in a little effort. Same story, but I see it quite exciting from my customers' point of view. Moment I say that my daughters join me, they're very happy about it, and they're very happy that that there's this lady now who's also taking interest. So the drive is so strong that she's joined a father business which is so technical. So in fact, they are very encouraging towards her. So when I told one of these person who I'm well known to in one of the tire companies, that I would like her to see how our fabric is being used and what ultimately happens, because only then she'll understand how critical and why X or Y is critical in this fabric and why we make it this way. So he was very encouraging. He says, "Nahi, aap arrange karo. You send her to this plant of ours and we'll put her there for 2-3 days. Team ke saath, she'll move around, she'll study and understand." And this is one thing I'm making her do. Not in just this tire industry, but all of my customers. I try to take her to a plant where I can see the onwards value added being done on the fabric that we make. Because otherwise, my fabric looks like a fabric. Of course, with that rubberization done, but within the range, they're all fabrics of different gauges and little construction here and there. Why this is this and why that is that is what she'll learn when she'll go there and see, इससे ये बनता है और ये ऐसे बनता है, इसलिए that's why it's very critical that we make it with these things looked into.
Great. And so I think I found it interesting, like not just visiting or going around your factory, but going around customers' factory.
I learned a lot there. Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting perspective, and not just going around spending time in your factory, but you spend time with the customer's factory, so you're able to understand the next use case.
We learned a lot and we resolved a lot. In fact, my customers know rubber. I know textile. So they would always be looking from the rubber point of view. Then when I go and see in their factory what they're doing out of my then from my textile side, I'm able to put in 2 words of contribution. You from your rubber side are able to put it, and we have solved so many problems like that. So it's very important to see, because again, we are in this entire industry that I am involved in. We've been just learning. We've seen a new product and worked on it. Where you don't have half knowledge because you know the product knowledge, the criticality for your customer. आपको क्या critical components hai in making that molded diaphragm or whatever it is, And I know just the fabric. So then when I understand your product, I'll say, okay, I should make my fabric softer. I should make it more, I should give the stretch percentage a little more or whatever,
I think very nice. So another aspect was that, so your company also sounds a lot into R&D, right? So a lot of the things is being customized, a lot of the R&D work is done. You spoke about patents. In India, innovation or R&D is not even, it's like maybe less than 0.5% of our GDP in compared to US or in context to Japan. So what is your advice in terms to the government as well in context of pushing R&D? Because again, here, IIMs, IITs, the institutions are in their own silo. The MSMEs are in their own silo. The government is in their own silo. So everybody is in their own silos doing it. So there is no amalgamation of the R&D or the innovation happening. So, and you've been doing the R&D part of it, being an MSME, putting a lot of money into R&D perseverance. So what is your advice?
I think the government is already giving a lot of benefits. Not that I've avail of them. And
Yeah.
in fact, people told me that you should,
Yeah.
reach out to the government and say that these are the R&Ds that you're doing, so they should fund you. Frankly speaking, it evolved in such a way that I never thought of it. Ye karna hai, chasing it. I never thought, let me look at these various bodies where I could get funding. And so I never got into it till people told me. But the government is doing things. I am told that for R&D, there is a funding given and there's a process for which you do apply and things like that. But they are doing.
Okay. Now, one more perspective was being a busy entrepreneur. We all speak about this work-life balance, right? So, as a factory head, do you feel or do you agree with that this balance can be maintained, or there is no work-life balance?
No, I don't think there's a problem on that at all. It's all about time planning. There are a lot of people who come back only at 8 in the evening and they say, you coming back so early at 4:30? I said, my work is getting done, that's more important. So it's all how you plan it. I remember when my kids were young and I wanted to give time to them, I used to get up at 6, cook them breakfast, put them out to the school, and I used to go to work at 7 in the morning. Today it's different, things are settled at different strata. I go late. But I could put in my time for them in the morning and come back at 4:30 and spend the evening with them. And today I'm planning my day out based on today's requirements. I don't see any problem in time planning and balancing your work versus that. Yeah, I mean, at least at my scale of work where I am today, I see no problem. There must be people who are very busy and who have so much on hand that they might not be getting time. I am not finding it a problem. And I don't see even why others shouldn't. Because if you plan it well, because if you're very large, then you'll have a much bigger team. So as long as you assign it right and you got it back right, then you can always play your time and live your life, which is the most important thing why you're doing all this.
Interesting. And what advice do you have for the budding entrepreneurs who are starting out to set up their factory as in today? Today, a lot of things are there for them, obviously. It was not there when you were doing it, not even the term Make in India was there. So what advice do you have for these entrepreneurs?
So like I said, today the whole world, India is globalized. We see a lot of large companies within India as well as multinationals here. So when you talk of entrepreneurship and an individual entrepreneur who is in the MSME, medium, small size, naturally it's going to be of a scale where he has to face all these giants around him. So my advice to a person is, if you are putting up an industry, make sure that it's something very niche. Because in our scales, we have to be niche to keep our head over the water. Second thing is, because you are an MSME and because you are niche, you have to be hands-on. You have to have full knowledge of your product because nobody is going to be there for you doing what you can do for yourself. So you have to have full knowledge and be hands-on, at least till the stage where you have established. Like today, what we are giving the tire companies is become so set that, like I said, if my daughter doesn't concentrate too much on that one product, it's good because now it's rolling. Yeah, but for any industrialist or entrepreneur who's coming in the scales that we are talking about, not very large, we have to be hands-on and we have to be technically very, very sound. Then only we'll win. Otherwise, we'll be one amongst, or we might not be earning much. You might be having an activity which, वो standard किसी के लिए job work कर रहे हो type of thing. You have a cost plus. That plus is what you're surviving on. You have to earn more. You have to be niche. You have to be intelligent and hands-on.
So niche and being hands-on.
Yeah, very important for, I think, MSME.
And so, so in today's era of distractions, today's era of over-information, you have so many places to consume so much of information. Before it was international travels, exhibitions, meeting customers you're able to get. Now a lot of things you can get it online as well. So what is the area where you consume as an entrepreneur at this stage, what kind of information do you consume? From where you get this technical knowledge?
Net, of course, like you just mentioned, but I have found maximum is in trade fairs. So we participate in trade fairs not only because we're going there and our product is showcased, but what you walk around and you see so many other people who are making certain products which enlighten you. Oh, this type of fabric, if I make, I can get into this field. So trade fairs, to me at least, have contributed maximum. And then naturally, with the access to net and the digital world, you can always get down home and start doing some homework. You extract some more data, do more studying and all that. But starting point has been that. And in my case, because we our business is all directly to the customer, so we visited so many plants. We have, by way of discussion in those plants, come across certain products and say, oh, this we could try, this also looks like something that we could make. And we got to learn more and more products. So, yes, through the customer directly or meeting customers indirectly in fairs.
Okay. And coming to the last parts of the conversation as well, so international expansion. So you've reached now certain scale. Now, what is the way ahead for Sanrhea? Obviously, example, the second generation takes over. Are you now gonna stick into the same strategy of the solid company slow growth, or you are looking, or you would see that with India growing, with the things around, with the international post, with the power India now controls, or it has better than before. So, what is the way ahead for Sanrhea?
As far as Sanrhea is concerned, my drive will always be to increase my presence more and more into the specialized segment. But that's not very big. So now, and going to the stage at where we are today, more or less choking to this level, this plant capacity, is talking of putting up a full new plant. Now, if I was to put up a full new plant, which we are looking at also, basically what happens is I will have to do the volume segment again, like coming back to conveyor belting and all that, which can fill up, because you have to fill up a plant to a certain level. Parallel, this thing moves at a slow speed. The specialized products can keep developing and this contribute in a small way, gradually build up. So that endeavor continues. But to do volume which can fill up the plant and keep the activity, buzzing, I will have to once again get back into products like conveyor belts or, increase what I'm doing with the tire companies and all that. So we're looking at that, and I'm eagerly, approaching and pushing the government to get some clarification very soon on this import policies of theirs and all that, because there's tremendous potential there. And if I get that, then I want to immediately put up one more plant where we fill it up with the volume game. And once those corrections are done, then that volume game also becomes a good game. Because, the problems are eliminated. And then if you're making a good product, the demand itself is very good.
Yeah, volumes are there.
Yeah.
Perfect. So perfect, Tushar sir. So I think it was an incredible conversation. I think I got to learn the perspective of how you started, and one of those founders who I met set a factory on passion without having a customer in place or a product in place.
Actually, that's how it happened.
So I think that's crazy. I mean, that's super crazy. And not telling the wife or them not having the idea aside from that, everything. So I think that talks of you. I mean, as how crazy would have been you would have been in, or how deeply in love you would have been in solving the problem, right? And with this all journey, how things evolved into, in terms of working with the customer, where the customer has nothing to lose. You're building something for them, and you're driven by the small step wins that you're getting, building certain niche products, moving to range of niche products, failing all the while, and then still learning and filing patents and going through the journey and scaling up the company and making and building it like a solid company, which is very debt free. So that's what my dad again talks about, building a solid debt free company. So I think so it's been incredible to learn those stories and super amazing wishes for the second generation to take over, and it's actually really inspiring for us also when we have women leading factories. I think that's something that we're not seeing a lot in India. So though they are also like the niche Sanrhea kind of companies, people like, in the market. So I think all the best wishes to her from our end also. And thank you for your time, for being here with us and then sharing so many amazing things with us.
It was a pleasure being here, and we also pray that we go ahead and into the next generation with the same spirit and take this company ahead. And there is good scope. If there is an endeavor, it'll happen. And I would still like to keep this company debt free as far as possible, because then you are in safer condition, and it's a better place to be in. So thanks for having me, and I'm very happy that you're doing this, because we should get the word out to the industry and the small entrepreneurs who are wanting to do something new, that there's ample scope in industrial engineering side of textiles, and it's just they have to put in that hard work, and there's ample stuff there. So it's good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.